I'm Managing Director and founder of Range Developments. I'm broadcasting to you this afternoon from our offices in Dubai, and extremely pleased to be working with our colleagues on Business Day to be presenting this seminar or this webinar to you on citizenship by investment and diversification strategies for Nigerian high net worth individuals. We have quite a detailed program for you this afternoon, and we're going to cover lots of various topics. But before I give a short introduction into some of the various themes that we're going to touch upon, allow me to introduce by name some of our distinguished panelists this afternoon. And when we were all interacting a few moments before the webinar started, we found out all of us have one thing in common, that we've all had a legal training. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but all I can say is you have the leaders of the profession, both in Nigeria and also from the Caribbean, here with you today. So without further ado, our special guest is the Honorable and His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Labor and Investment of the island of Grenada, Mr. Peter David. In addition, we're also joined by Mr. Nee, who is partner at Duale, Olivia and Alex Adipi Law Firm. We're also joined by Mrs. Mo, who is Chief Executive of Money Stewards. And we're also joined by Mrs. Mabolo, who is a partner at AO2 Law Firm, as well as Mrs. Oladatin. And I will allow each panelist to introduce themselves at the next stage of the proceedings, and they can give you a little bit about each of them and their professional backgrounds. As regards myself, I'm a lawyer by training. I schooled in the UK, graduated from the University of Cambridge, and worked for an international law firm for a number of years before moving to become an investment banker in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai, where I live. I've been in Dubai for the last 15 years, and for the last 9 of those years, I've been developing luxury resorts in the Caribbean. We're privileged to have been trusted by over 4,000 individuals with their second citizenship requirements, all of whom and their families have invested in our developments. Range Developments pride itself on building the leading brands, or bringing the leading brands to the Caribbean and building the leading resorts. We opened the Park Hyatt in St. Kitts in 2017. We opened the Kempinski Dominica in 2019. And we're currently working on the 6th census in Grenada, which we look to open in 2022. The key link between all of our projects is that investors who invest can obtain second citizenship for them and their family. And this has become quite a comfort net, especially regarding some of the heightened anxieties that investors around the globe are currently facing. I will delve into some of these themes during the body of my presentation. But it would be wrong for me to take any more time. Allow me to introduce the Honorable Minister, who has joined us from Grenada, made time from his very busy schedule. The Honorable Minister Peter David, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Labor, as mentioned, and Investment, a qualified barrister at law, after which he continued his political career. He's been a member of the House of Representatives for the parish state of St. George's, served as Deputy General Secretary of his political party, also been Minister of Tourism, so has a very wide cross-spectrum of experience across many ministries and has been pivotal in the development of Grenada's CBI program, which has become one of the largest sectors of foreign direct investment in Grenada. So Minister, on that note, please, if you would be kind enough to tell us more about Grenada and the Citizenship by Investment program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed, and welcome to all of the panelists you have here, and welcome to everybody who is out there listening. And I want to, first of all, thank you for your interest in Grenada and your work in Grenada. I want to thank all of the panelists for assisting us, and to everyone who is interested. Our CBI program is extremely important to our development, and I want to thank you for being a participant in the development of Grenada. So many of you may ask a question. But first, before I start, I hope everybody is well. We are living in an environment now, the COVID environment. As we say in Grenada, we're living in COVIDious times, and I hope everybody is well. We in Grenada have been managing quite well. We have no active cases at the moment. We had about 20-something, all of them imported from the United States and the United Kingdom, because we have very much direct links, and they are main sources of our tourism. But I'll come back to that momentarily. So I want to wish you well and hope that everybody is staying safe and COVID-free. Grenada, many of you may not know the history, so I'll just tell you briefly. We have a colonial history. We were part of the British Empire. We are also part of the French Empire, if you call it that. And the British, we have a British legacy. So we do have a British judicial system. We do have a British political system, Westminster democracy, where we have elections every 5 years. We have smooth transitions of power. We have no major difficulties in our political nor judicial system. Our judicial system is one that is quite predictable. In fact, our highest court is the Privy Council, remains the Privy Council in the United Kingdom. So we do have a system that most of you will, with which most of you will be familiar. We are also majority population African. As you're well aware, Grenada had a history of where the African population was transported to the Caribbean, and 95% of our population is of African descent, about 5%, about 3% Indian, and then you have other ethnicities. And we do have a very low crime rate. In fact, we believe we have the lowest crime rate in the region, and the statistics support that. So it is a fairly stable, fairly quiet, fairly prosperous small country. Tourism is our major economic activity. Tourism meaning persons visiting from the United Kingdom, Canada, the United States, and more recently from several other countries in the world. We do have a vibrant hotel tourism sector. Our biggest challenge, and I'll come back to that also, is hotels. And that is why we welcome persons like Mohammed and the Range brand to come to Grenada. We do have a need for more rooms, and I'll expand on that when I discuss a little bit about the Range project. Agriculture is also an important sector. We do have a nutmegs, cocoa, bananas is way back in our history. Now we have other crops coming up. So agriculture is one of the pillars, tourism the main pillar, and manufacturing. The manufacturing sector is not as developed as it could be, and the service sector. In those sectors, we are seeking investments, and certainly CBI is an area that we believe has brought in some of our best investments, and therefore we encourage investments in all of those sectors. And the government has quite an expansive concession package. Our industrial corporation investments, trying to attract investment, has developed packages of investments that have encouraged foreign direct investments. And certainly we are looking to Nigeria and looking to Africa in general for that. As Foreign Minister, we have been doing quite a bit of initiatives in Africa. The Nigerian president visited the Caribbean. I think it was a year or two ago. He visited Trinidad and Tobago, which is just a few miles south of Grenada, visited Guyana, which is a few miles south of Barbados, which is a few miles north of the island. Did not get to Grenada. I hope in the future we will correct that. But certainly there has been much interest in African investment. The CARICOM countries have established an embassy in Nairobi, Kenya, and they are seeking to expand embassies throughout the African continent. We lament the idea that we have such deep historic links, yet our political and investment links, our economic and financial links have not been keeping up, which is with what we believe is our historic links that we've had. And we believe it's a duty now. In fact, CARICOM leaders, every time we have CARICOM meetings, CARICOM is the grouping of Caribbean countries. There are 15 Caribbean countries that come together all of the time to discuss a coordinated foreign policy and coordinated economic policy. In fact, in the Eastern Caribbean, we have a single currency So we have a grouping that are taking that kind of approach to Africa. In fact, access into Grenada will certainly be an excellent platform on which you can invest throughout the region, from Jamaica in the north to Trinidad in the south. Grenada can be used as a platform for those investments. So we need investments from Africa. We've been reaching out to Africa, as I say, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa I visited last year. So we are welcoming of investments, and an investment package has been developed to encourage investments from all over the world. And in particular, we are looking at Africa in that regard. With respect to our CBI program is one of the most attractive. And it's attractive not simply because of pricing. Pricing is only one element in its attractiveness, as it were. We tend to call it the Ferrari of the CBI programs in the region. We have visa-free travel to several countries, and I know Mohammed and the other colleagues will expand more on that. We have visa-free travel to China, to Russia, to several countries, over 145 or 49 countries throughout the world. We have visa-free travel to. We also have the E2 arrangement with the United States, which came as a result of a treaty arrangement after the US invasion in 1983. You know the history of Grenada in that regard. Ronald Reagan came to Grenada, and subsequent to that, a treaty arrangement was established with the United States that causes us to maintain that E2 status, very unique and the only one in the Caribbean. And we have very stable relations with the United States. That treaty is a very, very, in our view, will remain intact for as long as I can foresee. We have excellent relations with the U.S. In fact, Grenada conducts a foreign policy where we keep our traditional allies, United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, while at the same time trying to develop relations with new allies. So we also have excellent relations with the People's Republic of China. We have excellent relations with several African countries, several Latin American countries. So the E2 arrangement with the United States, very stable. It's an arrangement that has so many persons come into Grenada, become citizens, and by virtue of that citizenship, find themselves as investors in the United States and having the benefits and that comes with that. But I'm sure my colleagues will detail and give you the information with respect to E2. With respect to due diligence, we do excellent and deep due diligence on persons who are applying. And the reason we do that is to keep the integrity of the Grenada passport. We want to ensure that someone holding a Grenada passport, that immigration officers and persons can be assured that those persons are the best quality persons. We focus on quality. We want, as I said earlier, the Ferrari of CBI programs. Therefore, quality is important. Pricing is important, and we believe we have priced it just at the right point. But Mohammed and the others will discuss that. But certainly for us, we believe we have priced it right, not the lowest. We certainly will not compete down to the bottom. As I said, you can purchase a Toyota, you can purchase a Nissan, but I think you're looking at Ferrari because of the quality of our program. So I urge you to take a look at it, and our due diligence ensures that we keep those qualities. So I urge you to take a good look at Grenada and take a good look at investments. And one of the investments that is quite critical to us is range developments, the Six Senses project. Why did we go with range? Now, we do extremely deep due diligence on persons coming with projects. We have the section 10 where you have donation, and the section 11 where you can do investments. We do deep due diligence on persons coming to invest because we want to keep, as I said earlier, the integrity of the program. So we looked at range. I met with Mohammed. In fact, I think we met in Geneva some years ago. I came back to Grenada, told the government about this project, that is the potential of this project. We had discussions, and Mohammed came in. But what is important is that he's had projects in St. Kitts, projects in Dominica, and now a project in Grenada. If you look at the project in St. Kitts, an excellent hotel, Dominica, an excellent hotel, Kempinski, the Park Hyatt in St. Kitts, and we have the range, Six Senses in Grenada. And Six Senses, as you're well aware, is a top brand. And we look forward, not simply because he's building a hotel and providing jobs in the construction and providing jobs in the operations of the hotel. But for us, the biggest challenge in tourism is room stock. And we believe that if we get the rooms, the people will come, because they have been coming. We have British Airways, American Airlines, Air Canada, Delta, all of them, 4 and 5, 3 hours away from the United States, from Miami, from New York, from Atlanta, and then from London, from Germany. So there is a capacity that needs to be developed, and with respect to rooms, so that we can attract more. So that, I say that to say this, that we are behind projects of this sort. We are behind projects like Six Senses. The government stands ready to support these projects, and we put our stamp on the project because we've ensured, not simply because we want a project, but because that project is linked to the development of this country. Tourism is necessary, and I want to urge you to look at it, but no matter what you do, please look at Grenada and invest in Grenada. But if you choose to come live, we welcome you to. We only have 100,000 people. We have space for some more people. So if you choose to come live, we welcome that. I have always said our population, we have a beautiful island. We have a welcoming population. We have a need to get more people to invest. Quality people come and invest in all these sectors, and I look forward. I will be Minister of Agriculture in a few months because agriculture is seen as an important sector. Please come invest in agriculture. Come invest in tourism. I was Minister of Tourism and Minister for Foreign Affairs. So I believe I understand Grenada, and I understand CBI, and I understand that you, by showing this interest in Grenada, will invest in Grenada, and I hope that I'm able to welcome you to Grenada sometime in the future.
Thank you so much, Minister, for those words. And I think for our audience who haven't had the privilege of visiting your country, I think you've described it in such a way that it would be very difficult for anyone not to plan a trip to Grenada, especially with the numerous mentions of Ferraris.
And the white sand beaches, Mohammed. I forgot to mention we have the most beautiful white sand beaches this part of the world, but that's just the icing on the cake.
So between red Ferraris and white sand beaches during a time of lockdown, I think you really have put a very enticing picture for your lovely island of Grenada, and I'm sure everyone will look forward to taking you up on that. And the minister spoke briefly about citizenship by investment, which has become a very topical theme today, not just in Nigeria, not just in West Africa, but across all emerging markets for high net worth investors. And I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm going to run through a presentation which talks about range and citizenship by investment. At its very simplest, citizenship by investment, or CBI as it's colloquially called, is just that. An investor invests amount in a country, fulfills the law or follows the relevant laws and regulations, and in return is rewarded with citizenship of the relevant country. I first heard about second citizenship in 2012 when I was in my office in Dubai. Someone came along and encouraged me to apply for second citizenship in the lovely island of St. Kitts. And this was really the first time I heard about it. And it sounded like an absolutely fantastic tool. Within 3 months, you could remove a number of prejudice that individuals face as a consequence of their citizenship through the acquisition of a piece of real estate in the island of St. Kitts, following a due diligence process, payment of the investment amount, and within 3 to 4 months, you had a new citizenship which permitted you with global mobility, a visa-free travel to 140 countries around the world, the United Kingdom, the Russian Federation, the whole of the Schengen zone, and many, many others, for an investment of what today is a $220,000 investment in a real estate asset plus some government fees. And being based in the Middle East, there were a number of investors in the surrounding countries, which found that a very attractive tool, because global mobility is something that is essential for the businessman and also essential from high net worth emerging market investors who live in, by definition, more politically unstable climates, because it provides them with that safety blanket against any anxieties which may be heightened due to certain political issues or certain social issues like we're currently facing. So amongst that background, I went to St. Kitts, I sat down with the government, and we restructured the citizenship program of the island of St. Kitts to facilitate the development of hotels under the Citizenship by Investment program. Now, why did we do that? Because you may have noticed our tagline is we build your future. And that's, we build your future as far as the countries are concerned. We're building an asset which can provide employment for future generations. And that's very important because everyone must benefit from Citizenship by Investment program. So the island benefits, it generates direct and indirect employment, and the investor benefits because he gets a second citizenship in a 3 to 4 month period of time without the need to visit the respective island. And as a consequence, he has all the security that comes with and the ability for global mobility. And believe it or not, St. Kitts and Nevis was the first island or first country in the whole world which conceptualized second citizenship in 1983. After it obtained independence from the crown, the country needed to pay the bills, and a very smart individual conceptualized second citizenship or citizenship by investment. Now, in the island of St. Kitts, we built the Park Hyatt Hotel, as you can see in front of you. It was named by Condé Nast as one of the top hotels in the world in 2018. CNN actually put it as the best new hotel in the Caribbean. Caribbean Journal gave it similar awards. And here are a few awards and accolades by people like New York Times, Forbes, Travel Week, and people. Don't take my word for it. We welcome you to St. Kitts when travel returns. Also, please have a look at TripAdvisor and other review sites, and you'll see how popular it's become, not just on the citizenship side, but also on the end user side when people come and visit, and that visit drives the revenue. I've been coming to West Africa since 2012, myself and my team. We've had success with a number of investors in West Africa who have invested in our projects and actually all parts of the African continent because they're desirous of some of the advantages that second citizenship provides. So that was St. Kitts, our first project. Our second project, as you can see on the screen in front of you, was the Kempinski development in Dominica. So in 2015, I was invited to the sister island of Dominica. We restructured the citizenship program. We introduced a real estate law, which facilitated real estate investment through the Citizenship by Investment program. And in addition to this, the government of Dominica worked very efficiently to set up a very efficient processing department to ensure citizenships could be processed within 3 months without compromising any of the integrity that is required to maintain the viability of a second citizenship scheme. We signed up with the government in 2016, and we opened the Kempinski Dominica to similar reviews in 2019. Indeed, over the last 8 years, we've been privileged to be trusted by 1,600 investors. Over 4,000 individuals have been awarded second citizenship through our project, subject to completion of due diligence, and over 2,300 jobs have been created by Range in the respective islands in which we operate. Now, 2,300 jobs is not a lot of jobs in a country like Nigeria, but remember, each one of these Caribbean islands only has a population base of St. Kitts at the smallest of 50,000 to Grenada at the highest at 110 or 120,000. Myself and the good minister met in Geneva in 2018, where he extended us a formal invitation a few months back to invest in the island of Grenada. We worked with the good minister and his team on some realignments to the Citizenship by Investment program, which really put Grenada as the Ferrari of second citizenship. And there's been a couple of changes in the last 12 months, which have solidified that change. Number one, Grenada realigned its price. So an investor is now required to invest $220,000 in an investment in an approved project like the Six Senses Hotel, and then he's able to qualify for second citizenship. That investment must be held for 5 years, ladies and gentlemen, and then it may be sold to another investor who also applies for second citizenship, and the original investor retains their citizenship. And that is critical because high net worth investors, the first question they ask is, how do I exit? It's not just a citizenship they're looking at. They're looking at an investment which can be exited after 5 years. There's a viable exit to someone else who wants a passport. And during the 5-year holding period, that investor also obtains a yield, which will be 2 to 3 to 4%, depending on the performance of that asset, as well as the rights to stay 2 weeks a year at any of our Caribbean hotels during construction, and the 6 senses once the hotel is open. Grenada permits dual citizenship, as does Nigeria. It's a constitutional right in both countries, so there's no dilemma in that regard. There's no need to visit or reside in Grenada to obtain second citizenship. Files are produced, and with so many good lawyers in today's panel, I'm sure one of them will be able to assist you compile the citizenship application form, which is not a complex procedure. The government just needs to get to know you so it can mandate third-party due diligence to verify your identity. And after a 2 to 3 month process, a final decision is made. The investment permits not just an individual, but his spouse, his parents, his grandparents, his children, and unmarried siblings above the 18, all to be included in the same application, with the additional government fees based on the number of people in that application. So it's a family-oriented solution, because children typically precipitate this decision, as does the need to protect and safeguard your future legacy. Entrepreneurs work hard up to a certain period of time, and then once they've made it to that stage of life, they start looking at wealth preservation strategies, of which second citizenship is key. We've talked about global mobility significantly. Visa-free travel to over 130 countries is what Grenada provides. Today, borders are as high as they've ever been. If you're an American, you're not able to travel to Europe. However, if you're a Grenadian, you can. So global mobility through a second citizenship is absolutely critical to provide a high net worth individual and a businessman the ability to continue with his business in the times of COVID. Now, where Grenada really has a shining light on it, and why it's referred to as the Ferrari of second citizenship, because it permits you the ability to live in the United States under its E2 visa. What is an E2 visa? At its simplest, it's a business visa. It says if you're a Grenadian and you apply at the nearest consulate for an E2 visa, and a precondition is you have to invest in your own business, so you have to submit a business plan. So I would say I'm building a development in the United States. Some of our esteemed panelists may say that they're setting up their law firm. Others of you may say we're purchasing a Starbucks, or someone may say we're purchasing this convenience store, or the more ambitious may say we're developing a big factory in the United States. There's no minimum amount of investment. You just need to be able to retain active ownership and control of that investment. And we've seen E2 investments from about $150,000 upwards be approved within a 6-week period. And that permits you, your spouse, and your children to go and live in the United States for 5-year multiple periods. And you have to run your business. Your spouse can work anywhere in the United States. Your children can benefit from free education in the state sector and discounted fees in the university sector, subject to fulfilling residence requirements. And best of all, because this isn't permanent residency, it's called a non-immigrant visa, which Mr. Trump has not twinkered with. He's only twinkered with the H-1B, the L-1, the EB-5, visas which seem to be taking jobs away from American citizens. But this is creating jobs by facilitating investments into the United States, and it's enshrined in a bilateral treaty between countries. So it has stood the test of time. Indeed, the E2 visa has been around for 200 years as a visa category, and Grenada has benefited it since 1983, if I'm not mistaken, for the last 36 years following the invasion. So best of all, you're not taxed on your worldwide income under an E2 unless you spend more than 122 days. Now, given some of the challenges with US immigration and Nigerians, with Mr. Trump's suspension on Nigerians applying for permanent residency, we've had a number of Nigerian investors obtain Grenadian citizenship and then either continue with their permanent residency application as a Grenadian or choose a different route and go under the E2 visa. So that's become super topical at the moment with West African and Nigerian investors in particular. So look, let me summarize some of the themes that we've been discussing and look at these benefits of second citizenship that Grenada provides. Number one, global mobility and the right to frictionless travel. No one can disagree. This is something which every high net worth individual and entrepreneur needs. Now, if you're applying for second citizenship to obtain this benefit, investors should also be looking at the future. One day, their children may wish to move to the United States for education. One day, they may wish to diversify their business and move to the United States themselves. So having the optionality which Grenada provides with the E2 visa is absolutely essential. Global mobility, I would say, is the starting point for any second citizenship. But then having the ability to access a major economy around the world is something that every second citizenship journey should have, especially given the difference between Grenada and its peers in terms of price point is really not significant at all in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's $20,000 or $30,000 in certain cases. And that, I think, is worth paying for that optionality. In times of personal insecurity, as we're currently facing across emerging markets, whether those are social, political, or heightened economic risks, second citizenship provides a comfort blanket. It provides a backup plan. God forbid an investor's home country doesn't work for his family or himself anymore. They have a strategy, and that strategy is linked to the first 2 points: mobility with the ability to resettle in an established economy in the United States. And more so, we touched upon it, the E2 visa allows access to career and educational cultural opportunities that would not have been available to an investor had he not proceeded with the route of second citizenship or the E2 visa. Now, it's not just about personal mobility. Second citizenship provides a hedge against it provides for capital preservation and capital mobility. In the world that we live in, the economic impact of COVID has been significant. I think we're all going to see depreciation in emerging market currencies. We're going to see hyperinflation. We're going to see higher taxes because, after all, emerging market governments have to somehow pay for the fallout from the corona pandemic. And the easiest way and a very popular way for governments is to increase tax on the high net worth individuals. So we've seen a number of investors from various countries take a second citizenship to promote the ease of global asset diversification and wealth protection and structure their financial affairs in such a way that are tax efficient. And if someone would like to discuss this, please feel free to get in touch, and we can put them in touch with some very smart tax advisors who have come up with a number of strategies. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the key 6 or 7 points why a high net worth investor should really be looking at a second citizenship today. It's more than an insurance. In front of you. Imagine our little island of Grenada has stable relations with the United States, with Russia, with China, with the UK, with the European Union, with Latin America, with India, sufficient to facilitate borderless and frictionless travel. I mean, Minister, you're a foreign minister, and you've certainly managed to balance a lot of large countries, which a number of your more established counterparts in various larger countries have not been able to do. I think we're all looking forward to read your memoirs with great interest, how you managed to achieve this delicate balance. And you know what? That's all available between 78 to 92 days. These are real examples of approvals. And in fact, we've seen approvals being issued in as less as 60 days and the unit in Grenada is fully digitized. So even in times of corona pandemic, people have gone through the process from beginning to end and been issued their second citizenship. So, that is an absolutely fantastic achievement. Citizenship takes up a significant portion or provides for a significant portion of Grenada's GDP. And as a consequence, it's something the government takes very seriously in terms of protecting the diligence and protecting the integrity of the program by ensuring due diligence and ensuring it's being done expeditiously and ensuring that money is used wisely to facilitate economic development. And one of the reasons why Grenada is the Ferrari of second citizenship is the E2 visa. Through second citizenship of Grenada, you can apply for an E2 visa, you get it within 6 weeks, you have to have 50% of the investment in your new business with retaining the ability to develop and direct. You apply at the nearest embassy, whether that's in Lagos or Barbados or Dubai, okay? And within 6 weeks, so it takes 3 months to get your Grenada passport, another 6 weeks later or 2 months later, within 5 months, you can go from Lagos to Los Angeles. And that is absolutely a phenomenal achievement. And it's not just Lagos to Los Angeles, it's the UK, it's Schengen, China, and Russia, and everywhere in between. But you can settle in the United States for multiple periods of 5 years. Renewal is an administrative process. You can take your spouse and dependent children with you below 21. Your spouse can work anywhere, and some pretty significant high school and university benefits for your children. Now, historically, the way to the United States was under the EB-5 or the L-1 visa. Mr. Trump made the EB-5 redundant by increasing the price to close to 1.8 million. Yes, with limited exemptions at 900,000. However, it's a minimum of a 4-year wait, which is a significant period of time. And you need to stay 2.5 years out of 5. And you're taxed from the get-go on your worldwide income. Grenada, even if you apply from the E2, you're only taxed if you're in the United States for 122 days. It takes 6 weeks. And the investment amount is, we suggest 150,000 on the E2 side. So with the Grenada investment and the Grenada government charges, plus 150,000, a family of 4 can be living in the United States for less than $500,000. And to me, okay, I would rather spend that $500,000 than buy a Ferrari. And I think that's why really, the minister keeps referring to Grenada as a Ferrari of second citizenship, because it is really providing a significant number of advantages. And ladies and gentlemen, as they say, seeing is believing. Here's a bunch of E2 visas approved for certain of our clients. And on a weekly basis, these are being issued from embassies around the world. Now, the Caribbean has become popular in Nigeria and across Africa. We were one of the pioneers who brought St. Kitts, which was the first country which embarked on second citizenship, to West Africa. We brought our Dominica development there as well, and now we're focused on Grenada. However, it would be wrong to take the same brush and think all of the Caribbean is the same. They're very, very different islands, each with their own country. It would be the same as us taking an ignorant view and saying Ghana and Ivory Coast are the same. It's not like that. Each island has different advantages, and you need to select a citizenship program which works for you. Why Grenada has become leader of the pack? It's the only country which has an E2 visa with the United States, and it's the only country which has visa-free travel to China. These are not things that the other 4 jurisdictions can wake up one morning and provide a benefit to. Grenada was invaded by the United States to get the privilege of the E2 visa, and Grenada has had diplomatic relations with China for many, many decades, so it could benefit from visa-free travel. So for a very slight price increase, in the case of 10% over St. Kitts, Dominica, and in fact, compared to St. Lucia, a price, it's a cheaper option or a more cost-effective option, you are provided with a citizenship which has many more advantages. So something worth considering. That being said, St. Kitts and Dominica have their place. They're very strong second citizenships. But again, look through this table carefully and see if it provides you with the relevant options that you're looking to achieve. How much does this venture cost? Under the laws of Grenada, you're required to make a $220,000 investment in the Sixth Senses project. A little bit of this is paid at the beginning, 10%. Then these amounts are paid to the government, and these vary depending on how many people. But for a family of 4, it's $20,000 at the beginning. And upon approval, the balance is payable, the 90% of the investment and the other government fees. So the all-in cost for a family of 4, excluding attorney's fees, is close to $300,000. Now, what are you getting? You're getting a share in the resort, which you can sell after 5 years to another investor who can also apply for citizenship, and you retain your citizenship in perpetuity and have a return of your capital, capital return. In addition, you make income along the way based on the performance of the resort, and you can spend time at each one of our Caribbean resorts during construction, and you can spend 2 weeks a year at the 6 Senses in Grenada once it opens. Now, in full transparency, there's a couple of routes of citizenship. The first is you make an investment in a real estate asset. The second is you do something which is called a non-refundable contribution to the state of Grenada. But if you look at it, real estate is a more cost-effective solution, because the cost for this same family on the donation side would be $240,000. The differential is $60,000, and you get an asset worth $220,000, which you can liquidate after 5 years to someone else who wants a citizenship. So that is quite a neat opportunity, because ultimately there's a viable exit, okay? And it's for a small additional amount, an insignificant additional amount. You get an asset which can provide you a return and an exit opportunity. And that's why so many people move towards the real estate side. Now, that's great for the government as well, because they would need the private sector investment, as the minister said, to keep the wheels of the economy turning and develop high-end tourism assets, which will have wider economic impact on the country. Now, a little bit more about Grenada. It's not just sun, sand, and citizenship by investment. There is a very strong bias on education. Believe it or not, this is the world's largest offshore medical university in Grenada. There's 10,000 people affiliated with this faculty, and it's the second largest source of doctors for the entire US workforce. You graduate from here, and you can go straight into medical residency in the US because of the historical links. This faculty has been in existence from 1977, students from 140 countries, and really has cemented Grenada on the map. I think if you ask any doctor if they know about St. George's University, they will all nod very fondly. So really is a fantastic faculty, and your children as citizens, I'm sure will get some special privileges there. A little bit more about what we're building in Grenada. We're building the 6 Senses Resort. 6 Senses is part of the Intercontinental Hotels Group, one of the world's largest hotel brands, and 6 Senses is the #1 brand of Intercontinental Hotels, voted the world's best hotel brand by Travel and Leisure for the last 3 years. We're building a 100-room resort over 28 acres, over 30 swimming pools in this resort. It has a 20% built-up ratio. You know, all guest suites are private with separate entrances and no communal corridors, no elevators. It's a spread out, low density villa product. And that's really important in this time, because that's the experience that the luxury traveler is looking for. And that's what's going to drive business to this hotel in the post-corona time. A couple of illustrations. I'm trying to tempt you all to come and take up the minister's offer and visit us in Grenada and across the Caribbean. That's a view from the sea. That's a spa over the water. That's a day lounging area with the beds and the restaurants, one of the bars, the spa reception, one of the F&B outlets, another one of the F&B outlets. So you can see it's a really neat architecture fused with some of the best interiors designed by some of the world's best designers. So really is a fantastic resort design. There'll be 6 super luxury villas adjacent to the resort. These are not part of the citizenship program, but are, you know, for the lifestyle buyer who wishes to have a second home in Grenada or a third home in Grenada. And we're seeing a lot of interest out of the UK and the US for this product. And here is a little bit more close-up features of these villas. They'll be one of a kind. Range is integrated in the Caribbean. We're the leading developer, the only developer which is delivered, And as part of our ethos, we believe that we must integrate into the communities. We have a very active social responsibility program, and we work with local communities at grassroots levels to tackle various social issues. Our CSR portfolio is as impactful as it is diverse. We work with children, families, entrepreneurs, and communities, and over 5,000 people have been impacted by our efforts. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you for your time, and let me thank you for your attention. I hope that's provided you with more of an overview of second citizenship, some of the advantages that some of the Caribbean islands can provide. And on that note, let me hand you over to Mrs. Oladatin for the introductions to each of the next panelists. So thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Good afternoon, panelists, and good afternoon, everyone joining. So we've just had a presentation from Mohammed Asaria, the founder and CEO of Range Developments. And next on the panel, we've got Miss Mo Adefamoti, who is the CEO of Money Stewards. And I will just open up to her to give a 5-minute introduction.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Motorai Adefamuti, and I'm the CEO of Money Stewards. Money Stewards is a global investment firm. We focus on acquiring assets for clients, specifically in the United States. So if you're looking to buy properties, build properties, get properties on foreclosures or auctions, and that's exactly where our strengths lie. And we have a number of training programs for clients who want to acquire assets on paper assets on the global market as well. So our focus obviously is acquiring assets in the global space. And that's what we do. So it's a privilege to be here, and I look forward to engaging the other panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. And next we have Nii Duale, who is the partner, a partner at Duale, Ovia, and Alex Adedipe.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nii Duale. I'm a lawyer. I have over 15 years experience. I work in a firm called Duale, Ovia, and Alex Adedipe. It's a boutique law firm. We have over 25 lawyers. In terms of my experience, I've worked in various sectors across private equity, energy, oil and gas, business regulation, advisory, and innovation. Interestingly, my law firm, Duale, Ovia, and Alex Adedipe, is a partnership and has different units and practice areas, such as banking and finance, M&As, the Admiralty practice, real estate, CMT. And in the last 2-3 years, I could say that there's been a lot of recognition about the firm in various areas, and from various awards. The firm has won various awards, both from a practice area perspective and as a firm holistically. This area, the journals such as IFLR, such as Legal 500, are basically recognized us. We're always happy to provide value to clients that we serve. So that's who we are.
Thank you, Nii. And lastly, we have Ms. Mobola Akinkugbe, partner at AO2 Law.
Okay, hi. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mobola Akinkugbe, and I'm a partner at AO2 Law, where I lead the real estate and transport team. What we typically do in that team is that we do real estate advisory, and we do project development and project advisory. What project development really entails is that we help you do your commercial transactions. We help you put your papers together, your documents, and your agreements. We also help you interface with regulators with all your necessary permits. AO2 Law, on the other hand, well, where I'm a partner at, is a full service law firm, where what we really do, we really have a full service law firm pretty much, and we do dispute resolution. Some of the services that we render are dispute resolution, corporate commercial with particular reference to tax. We have a really strong tax practice, as well as oil and gas. Like I had earlier mentioned, we do real estate advisory and project development. I have 3 other partners who are very well experienced in their various fields of practice and in general. And our clients really range from private individuals to government parastatals and multinationals. Yeah, I'm happy to be speaking on this panel, and I have a particular affinity for finance and investment, and having worked with a couple of high net worth individuals, I kind of know their needs and their investments, their investment needs, common investment needs. So I'm happy to be speaking on this panel, and also happy to hear what other people have to say on the panel. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Mobola. And I just realized I did not introduce myself. I'm Oyinkansola Oladiton, and I'm going to be moderating and asking questions to the panel. I'm a senior associate at 8 Roads, which is a venture capital firm based in London. It's a subsidiary of Fidelity Investments, and my area of focus is commercial real estate, B2B and AI tech businesses. So I'm going to start with opening out questions to Mohammed. Thank you for your very detailed presentation earlier. Mohammed, what would you say are the investment considerations to make when deciding on citizenship by investment, especially from the perspective of taxation?
Sure. Look, that's a very vital question, and I think each investor needs to sit down and really say at the outset, what are we looking to achieve, and why are we looking to do this? So, in terms of taxation, you don't want to be entering into a country whereby you could be having a tax liability. So, for example, if your ultimate goal was to have a potential route to the United States, but you wish to retain your business in Nigeria or West Africa, having an EB5 would be the wrong thing, because you would be taxed on your worldwide income from the get-go. And that's why if you look at Grenada and you apply for the E2, you're only taxed on your income worldwide, in the US, once you're there for 122 days. And Grenada has no taxes on its citizens who are not resident in Grenada. And even if you are resident in Grenada, you're only taxed on your locally sourced income. You're not taxed on your income offshore. And to be resident, you have to be there 183 days. Now, in the days where everyone is talking about increased taxation and every country looking at extraterritorial taxation, I understand that debate is going on in South Africa at the moment. This is very vital, and with some of the European citizenship programs as well, the countries may be tax-friendly today, but tomorrow there may be some sort of citizenship-based tax, which really needs to be assessed. So understand why you're doing it. A lot of people are doing it for children as well. Mobility should just be the entry point, and then do an assessment if migration is also on the agenda, either now or in the future, and then make the decision. But please don't think every Caribbean country is the same or every European country is the same. Each citizenship has some very fine nuances, advantages and disadvantages.
Thank you. And with regards to the investing in the hotel, the total investment amount of 220,000, do you offer financing to individuals looking to invest?
No, we don't offer financing, and what's expected from a Grenada side is that has to be fresh capital, because they want to see money coming into the country, which is creating jobs and development. But if you have your own assets in Nigeria, you can mortgage your house or your other assets and use that money to purchase the investment. And in fact, a number of leading banks are now going to start offering that product in Nigeria, where they promote citizenship by investment and they use existing assets in Nigeria to potentially provide some form of finance.
Great. And with regards to the checks on on, on the government end in Grenada? Are there particular checks that are basically gathered to ascertain people's sources of wealth? And are these checks in depth? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, absolutely. So the government is trying to make sure only good people come in, because at the end of the day, it's not just an investment in real estate you're making an investment in the country and the passport itself. So they want to check out your background. You prepare a file, it goes off to a third-party due diligence provider, Thomson Reuters, Kroll, and they do a background check to say you are who you are. And really, unless you've done something very, very naughty, typically we have a 97% acceptance rate. In addition to that, a non-civilian check is carried out in conjunction with some of the countries which provide visa-free travel to Grenadian citizens. And that is why the program is sustainable, because Grenada works very closely with its foreign allies to ensure only good people get through and obtain Grenadian citizenship.
Great. Thank you very much, Mohammed. And next, I'd like to ask Mo some questions. So Mo, I understand that Money Stewards focuses on acquiring foreign assets for investors. Just pigging back off Mohammed's response to them not offering financing. Could you just tell us a bit more about what you do with regards to acquiring foreign assets for investors?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Okay. Well, in terms of what we do, I am a very strong believer in diversification. And diversification for me is the ability to acquire multiple assets in multiple countries and make money in multiple currencies. So I believe what Mohammed is saying in terms of having foreign citizenship, and he quite eloquently highlighted that in his presentation. The need to have foreign investment is not, it's not a maybe anymore. It's almost a must, and that's where Money Stewards comes in. I possess several citizenships myself, if I may add, and what we do for clients is basically help them acquire properties specifically in the United States and the United Kingdom, but our core focus is United States, and we've narrowed it down to 3 major states, which is Georgia, and now our focus really more is in Texas. So we help you acquire properties, regular properties. If you want to acquire properties either through a mortgage, we can put you in touch with the requisite parties, help you get the process get started. We can help you get distressed properties. And one of the best things we help clients do is help them get properties on auctions. And this is where they really get the savings, because obviously, if you're paying properties for a property for as low as 30% of the value of the property, or 40%, then from get-go, you have a significant amount of equity in that asset. So that's one of the things we do in Money Stewards, and we do quite a number of, we have quite a volume that we do on a monthly basis, because obviously I think people are beginning to understand the need to have foreign assets. In terms of the paper assets, the stocks, the bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, we offer training on those so that you can by yourself be able to acquire and buy paper assets on the global market. But in terms of the services we provide for our clients, our focus really is helping them acquire properties at a bargain, distressed properties, so that from day one you'll actually have a quite significant equity. So that's how we offer services to our clients, and we do quite a huge volume as well.
Great. So Mo, why USA? I mean, there are several real estate opportunities in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. So why are you championing acquiring real estate in the USA, for example?
Okay, you and I both know that Nigeria has been fraught with challenges. I have preached global citizenship for years now. I have preached global asset acquisition for years. And it's very simple. Three major reasons. One, I talked about diversification, the ability to have other assets outside of your local jurisdiction. So that one is important. Number two, we have suffered currency depreciation in Nigeria. If you look at the history since 1990, double-digit currency devaluation every year. In 1990, it was 7 naira 50 kobo to $1. Today, it is over 400 naira to the dollar. 3 years ago, we saw the naira devalue as low as 525 naira to the dollar. The naira is extremely unstable. Unfortunately, that's the environment we find ourselves. So if you, for instance, your premise for acquiring foreign asset is your children's education or your retirement or a savings, right in your lifetime, you can see this currency depreciate so aggressively, and you're never going to be able to get anything really planned. So by the time your children are going to college, the funds you've invested locally is probably not become so worthless. So I think currency depreciation is one of the key reasons why I advocate foreign citizenship, and I also advocate foreign asset. And the other reason, of course, is inflation. Nigeria suffers from double-digit inflation. In any of these countries, UK, US, you're talking of 2-3% inflation. So you're at any point in time retaining the true value of your money. I'm not saying that US doesn't have its own challenges, certainly does. But what I do know is the fact that you want to invest in a stable currency, in a stable environment, being able to understand the economics behind your investment and the political reasons behind your investment. Nigeria is fraught with challenges. Now, by all means, I advocate investing in Nigeria, but I think to put all your eggs in one basket is to do yourself a disservice. You should be able to invest in local currency, buy a land or a house or buy stocks or bonds in Nigeria, absolutely. But most importantly, you also want to invest on the global market. I mean, for instance, a lot of people have been able to have died in Nigeria because, they were not able to either travel on time because of visa issues. Again, if you're able to secure foreign citizenship that allows you visa travel, so you can travel easily. And when you get there, it's going to cost you to access the healthcare. So you need to have funds for those. And those are the reasons why we have advocated for years, not just multiple citizenship, but also specifically ability to acquire foreign assets, in countries like UK. Certainly we cover UK, but the bulk of our business is based in US. And I think that especially in this Corona, we've seen a huge jump of people wanting to invest in foreign assets.
Thank you very much, Mo. Before I move on to the next panelist, I'd just like to remind attendees that following our live questions, you are able to please send in your questions on slido.com, that's SLIDO.com, and please use the code GND20. Next, I'd like to speak to Nee. Nee, how long have you been advising high net worth individuals, and what would you say have been some of the challenges that have impacted them obtaining second citizenships? Hi, Nee. Sorry, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you now.
Okay. So that's an interesting question. I would say that's about 8 years. And what I've found very interesting about dealing with a lot of HNIs is the fact that quite a number of them have actually found it difficult to put together the source of funds. So what I'll say is that a lot of them, even though they're interested in doing this, what you find is that their source of funds, I think, I'll give you an example. About 2 or 3 years ago, clients approached me and basically indicated that, that he was interested in a Caribbean country. And in doing that, basically gave him what the application entailed, and basically reached out to the other agents working on it, and basically tried process of looking through his documentation. And we found out that, I mean, because of what I know about the person's business, I understood that the person had actually worked in, at some point worked with the government agency. And on the basis of that, what we had to do was basically, you know what, we need to be certain that your source of funds have actually been made from commercial means, from your salaries, and not from any kind of government work. Because at the end of the day, all the things that we told him about it, all the challenges we felt he would face in relation to the DD that would be conducted by a third party of the appointed by the country, basically came to light. So what I'm saying is that a lot of times, one of the challenges that we face in terms of dealing with some HNIs is the fact that their source of funds can sometimes be a challenge for them in terms of accessing this. I would say that that's one of the biggest issues that we face in terms of the source of funds.
Okay, and that was actually going to be my next question. Is you touched on some red flags, you know, that come up in the process, in the due diligence process. Apart from source of funds, are there any others that you've seen as trend that come up?
So some other issues relate to the applicants, or maybe a spouse being a politically exposed person. And on the basis of that, what you find is that there are usually a lot of red flags on that. And if you have issues such as that, tendency that an application will go through, in my own experience and based on some countries that we worked with on this, has actually been a bit difficult. So most times I wouldn't, I mean, you're not going to say that because you're married to somebody who's in government or has been in government, it doesn't mean that you won't be able to apply. But we're just saying that the checks are more comprehensive, especially in situations whereby find yourself under those kind of peculiar circumstances. So essentially, the scrutiny, the level of scrutiny is a lot higher. Doesn't mean, it does not mean that you not get it or you might not get it, but I'm just saying that in terms of the scrutiny, it's a lot higher in our experience.
Okay, thank you. And my last question, as an investment lawyer, do you consider the suitability of a destination country as a tax haven before you recommend it to clients, or before recommending, I guess, the benefits of the country to the client?
Okay, so a lot of times clients have an idea of what they want. Giving you an example, there's a client who basically was interested in moving his family to the United Kingdom. And whilst he was there, he was just thinking, okay, you know what, I'm thinking that maybe I might want to consider other jurisdictions based on other business interests that I have. So what I'm saying is that sometimes their intentions change based on whether it's what they want to do with their children, or maybe what they want to do with their spouses, or basically it could just be some other business opportunity. So I'm saying that, I have encountered a situation whereby a client moved from wanting something in the United Kingdom to wanting something in the Caribbean to wanting something also in the EU. So a lot of times we can only advise clients based on our experience, but most times they have a fair idea of where they want to take their businesses to and what they want to do with their wealth. So all we can just do is advise.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your answers. Hello, Mobola. Just like to ask you a couple of questions. From your experience and your expertise, why would you say diversification is necessary for high net worth individuals? Okay,
to be honest, I think that question will really be a no-brainer for HNIs. And so I want to believe that we have other participants who are not HNIs, but aspiring HNIs. So I'll just say anyway that, diversification is very important to limit your risk. You know, as Muturaya had earlier mentioned, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. And I don't really need to say what happens if you put your eggs in one basket. Beyond limiting your risk, you know, you also want to maximize your capital gains. You know, of course, if you've invested money, then you would be expecting your return on investment, but you know, you can also gain many other things from your investment. So we shouldn't just be looking at the capital gains. We can also be looking at the social gains, and like such as things as like the citizenship, and which really helps you or gains you freedom of movement across jurisdictions and the likes. You know, so yes, like I said, it would appear as a no-brainer, but yes, I think it needs to be said that, you know, diversification is very important for limiting your risk and for capital gains, to maximize your capital gains. Yeah.
Thank you, and I definitely would agree. So with regards to your high net worth clients, in this sort of process, what would you say that they should be looking for when considering for an investment? What would you say are the key, you know, the key things that they should be looking out for?
Okay, I think with divestment, it really, I think Ni really touched a bit on this and talked about, it really depends on what their long-term and short-term goals are, investment-wise and family-wise, really. So, but I think the basic things that HNIs or people looking to invest locally and foreign in a foreign climate would be to look at, of course, the tax savings, particularly if you are interested in investing for capital gains or to maximize your capital gains. You want to be looking at tax savings. I mean, in Nigeria currently, we, you know, the average percentage is about 19.2%, which is average, you know, which is okay compared to other countries. But you know, what's better than average is little or no tax charges or tax rates. So of course you want to be looking to invest in tax havens. You know, you also need to look at the policies of the jurisdiction that you are looking to invest. Muturaya had mentioned something about stability, which we really don't have right now in Nigeria, looking at the foreign exchange volatility as well as our policy instability. So of course you want to be looking at some form of stability and, you know, security as well. What other things would you want to look at? Yes, of course, you want to look at other benefits that you can stand to gain, such as citizenship. Of course, that again is a no-brainer. Yeah, I think those are the 3 points that I would highlight on that question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mobola. So thank you, panelists, for your insight and for answering those questions. Our attendees are sending in questions at the moment, and I have got a question from Cyril, and this is open to any of the panelists. Please feel free to just add on to anyone else's response. So Cyril asks, can payments for the citizenship be made via wire transfer from Bureau de Change, or must it be from your domiciliary account?
So let me jump in here. Ultimately, Cyril, the proof of fund, can you hear me? The proof of funds or the source of funds check for Grenada involves a 12-month look into your bank statements. As pertains transfer, you're permitted to transfer it to one of Range's subsidiaries, who is your marketing agent, who can then pay that money on your behalf to the government. If this is something you're interested in looking at, I'm more than happy to have a chat with you, and we can understand what's possible and take that discussion forward.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. I've got another question for you, actually. An attendee would like to know if there is a consulate, a Grenada consulate representative in Nigeria.
No, sorry, please.
Sorry. Yes,
no,
please go.
Maybe if the minister is still online, is he there? I think he might have dialed out. But in terms of the nearest consulate to Nigeria, as the minister said, there's one in Nairobi. There's a Caribbean mission in Morocco. There is one in Dubai. There is one in London. I think there is a detailed discussion going on to potentially expand the diplomatic footprint into Nigeria. But all of those missions are able to provide assistance, especially today in the digital age. Most things can be done by interaction through mediums such as this. And I know the consul in Dubai is very keen to welcome and provide consular support to the Nigerian investors who have been coming to Grenada.
Thank you. And just again, picking off that same answer, I have another attendee asking how to commence with the process. Who do they work with? Who do they contact if they'd like to pursue the second citizenship?
So look, more than happy, please reach out to us and we can discuss the process in detail in terms of the documentation and everything else which is needed.
Okay. And are you able to share contact detail for them to read?
So let me just give you my my mobile. My email is a little bit complicated in terms of my name. Why don't we just go info, INFO, at Range Developments, RANGEDEVELOPMENTS.com, or you can WhatsApp me on +971 55 457 4575. So that's +971 55 457 4575.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. And it seems that's all the questions we have from people viewing in.
Wonderful. Well, on that note, maybe it's now just some concluding remarks from me, and maybe each of the panelists can also give a concluding remark, and then we can thank our audience for the time. So, you know, as far as from my perspective, I think this has been a very informative session. I've actually learned a lot from the other panelists, and I think with some of the challenges that the high net worth investor across the African continent, and in particular in Nigeria, is facing, and this was echoed amongst my panelists, second citizenship is no longer a luxury. It's become a fundamentally required asset class to hedge against some of the political risks, to hedge against this term of deglobalization. Second citizenship provides you protection of your hard-earned capital. It provides you mobility, which you need to grow your business. And it also provides you access to mature economies or other more mature economical markets for both your business and for your personnel and for your children. And the Caribbean can be, and Grenada in particular, can be a very cost-effective tool. You know, it's 10% of the cost of a European citizenship, arguably, which doesn't have so many more benefits, and is very versatile and should be part of any wealth preservation strategy, which you can achieve in 3 months. So thank you very much. And maybe if we go panelist to panelist to give our concluding remarks. Maybe Ola, if you start.
Thank you, Mohammed. I'd like to thank the panelists and yourself, Mohammed, and Honorable Peter Charles David. I have learned a lot. I found it very informative. I think echoed very well by all the panelists. Now we are in an environment where, you know, having dual citizenship is something that, you know, more people are looking towards, especially more Nigerians. So it was very nice to get a lot of information about the country of Grenada and the potential investment opportunities with range development and the Sixth Sense hotel franchise. So thank you very much for the information.
Okay, it's been a very informative session. Thank you so much, Mohammed, and thanks for the other panelists for all the insight. I think that I am an example of a second citizenship and a third, and so I advocated naturally because I've seen the benefits in terms of wealth preservation, wealth expansion, and the ability to be able to do investments and you know, businesses in multiple jurisdictions. I'm very well versed with the EB5, and I know that it's fraught with limitations. And if this gives an alternative in terms of EB5, it's way more expensive than this. It takes a longer time, and this gives access not just to the Grenada but also to the US as well. So you can do business, you can do investments, you can do all of those things. Why not? Not to say that typically in US, you can go study in US, you can buy properties in US without citizenship, but certainly having a citizenship or a way to work in the United States, it's an added bonus. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I just want people to consider the fact that, you know what, second citizenship, alternative investment outside your local comfort zone or your local jurisdiction is not, you know, it's not a maybe anymore, especially for our generation. It is almost imperative that in our wealth preservation, wealth dissemination, our estate planning, we seriously consider alternative investment and alternative citizenship as part of the overall package, and not to consider that is to do yourself massive disjustice. So thank you very much. Great having all lawyer panel, interesting. So thank you very much.
All right, I'd like to, okay.
Oh, sorry, maybe you should go ahead and then I'll finish.
All right, thank you. I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to speak on this panel. And I think the benefits of investment, citizenship through investment cannot be overemphasized. So I don't think we need to be told that what is better than a single citizenship is a dual citizenship. I mean, particularly for the situations we find ourselves in Nigeria today. I mean, that's not to say that Nigeria is not an amazing country, but really, I just want to have freedom, or anybody just wants to have freedom to be able to go in and out of, you know, jurisdictions very easily and making money while at it. So I think this has been a very informative session, and I'm very glad to have been a part of it. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. So for me, I'm just going to state something. Proud to actually coming on to this webinar. I recall that a couple of persons asked me that I wasn't going to be featured by suggesting that people should get alternative citizenship. And it was so funny to me because I told the person that, you know what, you're a businessman, right? And in the last 6 months, you've been complaining that you've not been able to get up and go and visit. I mean, yes, there's COVID and whatever, but you basically identify some opportunities in other African countries, South America, and you can't get up and go because, I mean, you have a Nigerian passport and you don't have a visa on the passport. So I'm saying that for me, it goes beyond you being patriotic. I think it's more something you need from a business perspective because you need situations whereby you can basically get up and go. It definitely is a necessity. I would also say that benefits far outweigh the cons. And on this basis, I would say that if you can afford it, it's something that you should consider. If you need any help in terms of putting your documentation together, I mean, you can always, you know, reach out to us and see how we can assist you in that. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought that was going to be the conclusion, but since I gave my WhatsApp number, I've been sent 4 questions. So maybe I will just read them for the benefit of everyone here. So the first one is, are payments made one-off or instrumentally? So at the outset, an investor is required to pay a small deposit and some small amount of due diligence fees to the government. It depends on how many people in an application, but it'll be approximately $40,000 or $50,000. And then on approval, they have to pay the balance, which is based on their family size. God forbid an investor is rejected, and we have a very high approval rate because we're very careful on who we accept. That money is the deposit is returned, but the government obviously doesn't return the due diligence fees. That's a risk of doing business. The next question, is it possible for the owner to live in the property, or will you pay rent? With regards to that, the investor is making an investment in the hotel. And that entitles him to spend 2 weeks a year in the hotel on an annual basis. And then whatever his pro rata percentage of cash flow is, he obtains. So if the hotel makes 2%, he gets 2%, he makes 5%, he gets 5%. And that's pro rata across all the various investors. What are the other business opportunities in Grenada? They're plentiful. I think we heard the minister talk about agriculture. We heard about the minister talk about education. Grenada is very close to the United States, to Latin America, to Canada. So it has a very strategic position. And if you look at it, 80% of Grenada or 70% of Grenada's food is imported. So you can imagine what the potential is, not just in Grenada, but in all the other Caribbean countries which neighbor Grenada. And with so many tourists coming in, that just throws up a wealth of opportunity. So those are the 4 questions which I was sent by WhatsApp. I hope I provided detailed answers. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you once again for your time and attention. Let me thank my fellow panelists and our distinguished guest, the Honorable Minister. Thank you for spending time and telling us about your wonderful country. And, I'm sure all of us look forward to visiting you soon. So thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you Business Day for arranging. Have a good evening.